Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Thomas. Tonight we're back here with the history of Power Rangers. Tonight, well, we're wrapping up the first season, or at least the first series, with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 3. So this is going to be the last one before we move on to the next series, which is Zeo. So this is basically where we get the Kaku Ranger Rangers, or at least the Megazords, and Ninjor, though the suits come in next season. You'll see what I mean in a minute. Anyway, without any further ado, be sure to like, subscribe for more. Hope you enjoy. Let's go! Yeah, those are the mooks. Okay, that didn't even look like a head.
Oh my god! Ninja Zombie Power Rangers! This show is friggin' awesome! Ladies and gentlemen and others, welcome to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 3.
Yep, the last of the Mighty Morphins. Here we go.
Season 3 opens on the planet Edenoi, where Alpha was originally built. Count Dragon has enslaved the populace in footage that looks even older than the Jew Ranger stuff used for Season 1 of Power Rangers. The opening 3 episodes are called A Friend in Need, which serves as a backdoor pilot for a Power Rangers-like show called Masked Rider. Like Power Rangers, it would use Japanese footage with American actors. It only lasted a year, and all in all wasn't exactly anything to write home about. The show, when released, pretty much removed any references to Power Rangers, mostly because at the time, Power Rangers ratings were starting to decline. What gets me is that Saban apparently has a library of background music that they sometimes reuse. The music used in these 3 episodes I'd later hear in the dubbed version of Digimon. Don't get me wrong, I actually really like the music. It's just I keep hearing it and expecting Myotismon to suddenly attack. Speaking of the music, I need to quickly cover something that I failed to talk about in the last 2 videos. Ron Wasserman. Ron Wasserman was the composer for the series' most memorable tunes, both in fight scenes and the original Go-Go Power Rangers theme. While he didn't compose the music for every season, almost every time he did over the course of the show's run, you'd still be guaranteed something catchy and exciting. Anyway, Alpha is depressed because he received a distress call from Edenoi. Zed is also observing the attack and laments the fact that Count Dragon has been successful in pretty much conquering Edenoi, and yet he and Rita continue to have problems with Earth. The two are apparently rivals, which explains why they never mention him after this 3-parter. The Rangers want to know if they can help, save for Kimberly, who is stuck in bed, sick. Zordon lets them go to Edenoi, but warns them that the great distance might mean that their powers may not be at full strength. Not that that will actually make a difference in the episode, nor does it make any sense, since, spoilers, there are alien Power Rangers. And if they're all connected to the morphing grid, then, well, what difference does it make? After a brief misunderstanding with the Masked Rider, the groups get together and reveal their identities to each other. The Masked Rider is Prince Dex, and boy, hearing him speak just makes me realize how much has changed with the Rangers. In the early days, their acting wasn't all that great, but they got better over time. Dex just sounds really silly when he talks, kind of like he's not sure whether to take his dialogue seriously or not.
Mind crystals. They give us the ability to communicate our thoughts as well as images. And I remain an outlaw under the guise of the Masked Rider, trying to bring some sense of hope to our people. You have your wish, loathsome barbarians.
Anyway, they fight some Masked Rider villains and they leave. Yeah, that was worth devoting a 3-parter to. They just go there and then back to Earth and fight the monster. A repaint of another monster they fought in Season 2 and oh my god. New Zord footage again! It really took them 3 damn seasons to finally get this footage, and it's such a nice change of pace. Sure, the sparks that explode off aren't what you normally see in the Sentai footage, but like I care, it's new. With Dragon heading to Earth in pursuit of the Rangers, Dex is sent to Earth for his spin-off that will, again, never mention the Power Rangers, despite the fact that we now have 2 colossally evil forces trying to enslave mankind. A Friend in Need isn't a strong start to the season and is best just skipped over, frankly. It's not that it's that bad, just that it doesn't really serve any purpose for the show other than acting as a pilot for another show that would never mention them. That being said, there would be a comic book crossover between Masked Rider and Power Rangers later, but the canonicity there is questionable. Instead, the real start...
Yeah, honestly, I think for that one, it's more like, I guess, like you said, Power Rangers was kind of going down, and I thought, well, might as well hop the bandwagon for Masked Rider. So, ironically, Power Rangers still going on, Masked Rider, ouch. I mean, fair enough. They only do, like, one more dubbed, like, Kamen Rider thing, and that didn't... I mean, that did a better, but we haven't gotten one since, which is kind of sad. I mean, considering we got a lot of Kamen Rider fans over here in the States, so why not? Oh well, I guess they couldn't get the rights to it. Let's just see how the season actually starts.
For the season is a 4-parter that details the next evolution of the show, Ninja Quest. Rito Revolto, Rita's brother, arrives at the palace with a number of eggs and promises to deal with the Power Rangers. Rito's an idiot through and through, but he's roughly on par with Goldar in terms of power levels, and he leads a bunch of monsters down to confront the Rangers. Meanwhile, Bulk and Skull, having given up on finding out who the Rangers are, Skull in particular seems sick of their constant failure, overhear 2 girls talking about how they love men in uniforms. Seeing an ad for the Junior Police Patrol, they announce to the shock and amazement of the juice bar that they plan to join them. Obviously with the intent of picking up women. I'll get more into this when we talk about their development this season. Really, this is just surprising because it's a shock to learn the police even exist in Power Rangers. So Rito fights the Rangers with the monsters, doing serious damage to the Zords. Alpha tries to boost their energy, but the technobabble What's It does something, causing some kind of power surge that overloads and strips the Rangers of their powers. Well, at least we have these Zord suits now, and we could still have original Zord fight.
And they blew it up.
I will say that actually seeing the Zords falling apart like this with wires strewn everywhere and just falling to pieces, it's a pretty disturbing image, on par with the original Megazord getting sliced apart back in Doomsday. I should note that they don't explicitly say that there's a power surge, but it's what seems to be inferred by the dialogue, that levels need to stabilize, a bar of lights going into the red, things overloading and exploding, that kind of thing. So how would that strip them of their powers, since those are supposed to be tied into the power coins? Well, recall that last season, when the team got the Thunder Zords, it was said that Tommy no longer had enough power to support a new Zord. It's possible that their powers, while based on the coins, are tied into the Zords. Remember also that the Thunder Zords are actually transformed versions of their original Zords, and when they're destroyed in the power surge, it wrecked their powers too. Mind you, they very likely also function independently of the Zords, just that when the Zords are active, their powers are linked together, and damaging one damages the other.
It's gonna be a long walk back to the command center. Let's get going.
Man, if only we had some kind of flying car we could use to get there. The command center is pretty trash too, and it's clear there's no way to restore their powers with everything in its current state. Adam asks where the powers originally came from, and Zordon explains that, according to legend, the power coins were originally forged by an entity named Ninjor, who created them and the Zords to be used as tools in the fight against evil. Alpha says that they also found a map through the Desert of Despair, where Ninjor's temple is supposed to be located along with the power coins. This is really an interesting premise, that Zordon didn't create the power coins, and that they were actually found by him and Alpha. While they know an awful lot about them and how they work, they might not know everything about them. This could be very useful down the road when we reach certain episodes where they use the old powers again, but we'll get to that when they come. More than that, there may have been different versions of the Mighty Morphin suits in ancient history, and that they're actually reflective of the period and people who use them. After all, in Wild West Rangers, when Kim gave the ancestors the coins, their versions of the suits had a Wild West theme to them without anything to suggest why that should be. The Rangers travel to the Desert of Despair, which looks exactly like the desert outside the command center. I wonder if Zordon was just screwing with the Rangers when he said it may only be a myth, and that they knew exactly where the temple was. Zordon just wanted to get back at them for wrecking his stuff. The eggs on the moon hatch, and they're revealed to be Tenga warriors, giant crows that are apparently fierce warriors. They will be the new foot soldiers of the season. Although personally, I thought the putties were more intimidating, even if they started to become a bunch of really disturbing interpretive dancers near the end of their tenure. The Rangers wander the desert, losing the map to a fire thanks to the dangers of the area, until they come upon the rocks where Kirk fought the lizard in Star Trek. Oh, but I kid about Vasquez Rocks. That's where the command center is. The Tengas attack, and apparently losing their powers also made them lose their martial arts skills, since they put up a pitiful defense against the birds before finding the entrance to the temple. The Tengas are too big to fit through, and obviously too dumb, since all they need to do is turn to their sides to get in, but for plot convenience, that's what you got. The Rangers travel through a tunnel until reaching the temple of Ninjor itself. They find Ninjor inside of a bottle, and it turns out he's voiced by Dudley Do-Right.
Why, you snippety upstart, you happen to be looking at him. I am the great Ninjor.
Ninjor at first refuses to help, but Tommy makes a little speech about how they'll still fight even without their powers. Remember this for a future installment.
We had trouble with it
However,
earlier
this is
without
of
them.
course a test, and Ninjor grants them ninja powers, since of course ninjas wear bright yellow or blue. Now, I suppose they do look cool at the very least. They're also assigned new animal Zords.
Where before your power came from the brute strength of the dinosaurs, now it comes from the swift, intelligent cunning of the ninja. This is more than a restoration of your range of powers. Your new power coins come with new, more advanced powers.
Rocky is given the Ape Zord, Aisha the Bear Zord, Billy the Wolf Zord, Kimberly the Crane Zord, Adam the Frog Zord.
I'm a frog.
And I joke about the frog thing, but while it's a funny line in the movie, the show actually bothers to not make its heroes into a punchline, describing the frog as courageous. The ninja suits you see in the sequence are not a one-off either. They're basically an alternate morphed form for them that grants them extra abilities like super speed, being hidden in the dirt, or swapping out their costumes for a fake. While they weren't often used, it was kind of a precursor to the civilian powers displayed in later series. However, the difference here, and why I'm fine with it in this instead of in those, is that they're still in a different morphed form. In terms of combat style, there was also an evolution in how they fought. While, of course, the Rangers always acted as a team, while in their ninja forms, they seemed more likely to interact with each other and perform more complex maneuvers involving at least two people. What's weird in this case, however, is that they morph into their old costumes. Seriously, what the hell? Give them new helmets at least. Did they blow the budget on the ninja suits and the Zord suits that got destroyed only 4 episodes in? I mean, at this point, they're not using Sentai footage for the Rangers anyway, so why not just build some new helmets? Sure, for toys they'd have to alter the head mold a little, but it's not too drastic a change. That being said, while they've kept the same outfits, they alter the morphing phrases. Instead of calling out their animal, it's Pink Ranger Power and Black Ranger Power. And good thing they included the Ranger part, since it might be a bit awkward for Tommy to yell out White Power. Also surprised.
Yeah, ain't wrong. Though, actually, like I said earlier, like with the whole Die Ranger outfits they had from season 2, this could have actually been used to help out, because Die Rangers were a bit of a martial arts style, so why not? I mean, just had to change around the colors and you'd be good, right? Just change the black to green like most people do. I mean, hey, they did it with Megaforce. Megaforce black to Super Megaforce green. See? I mean, like I said, I could definitely see that happening. No? Why not? But I guess, again, they got lazy, so they thought, might as well just keep the iconic suits. But, I mean, if you know you're going to be doing a new suit like they would, why not? I mean, that way you could at least differentiate, you know, since you're not using, like, the old powers, you're getting new ones. It's still odd to me.
Surprisingly, they decided to keep Titanus around this season and use the Ultra Zord with the Ninja Megazord, despite the fact that Titanus was from footage from a totally different Sentai.
Again,
how do they accomplish this effect?
Ranger.
They put the toys together, even though they don't look like the Zords from the Sentai footage at all. But yeah, they defeat Rito, but he sticks around as a comic relief counterpart to Goldar. And I love Rito. Aside from just his very cool design, gotta show love for skeletons, while he's a moron, he's still a viable threat who could do some damage. And while I of course prefer a more menacing Lord Zed, the fact that he gets under Zed's, well, skin, I guess, for lack of a better term, is greatly amusing. Ninjor also sticks around as an ally of the Rangers, even being able to grow himself into a larger, kinda sorta Zord mode. The need for him to stick around is pretty much because of the Sentai footage, taken from the series Kaku Ranger. Ninjor's design is very much fascinating in relation to Power Rangers mythology. While he's from a series completely unrelated to Jew Ranger, the fact that Sentai has very similar designs for the majority of their series, multicolored outfits, black visor, rounded helmet, could imply that Ninjor built other ancient Power Rangers before. Future series would describe other events that happened in history from various time frames, 3,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, etc. And powers that don't have a fully fleshed out origin, just that they are very old. And according to events later this season, we know that the Power Coins were not the only Power Rangers paraphernalia that Ninjor has made before. After a lengthy amount of filler episodes, the next major story arc begins with, believe it or not, a white cat. Aisha adopts the cat, but we quickly learn that Rita has plans with it. As the Rangers battle Rio, the cat transforms into a woman who watches intently. We also learn that Kimberly has been working hard on her gymnastics, which will pay off as part of the story arc. The cat, named of course Cat or Catherine, is an Australian teen under Rita's spell. She goes to Tommy to begin the diabolical scheme.
Excuse me.
Hi?
I was wondering, I'm new here. My car's broken down outside and I really don't know what to do.
Certainly, mysterious girl who I've never met before, whose eyes glow red. I'll take a look at your car, despite the fact that there's no way you could know that I'm in any way mechanically inclined, or that I could be of more use to your car than a mechanic. After such a clever ruse, the two get trapped in some sort of alternate dimension, and Tommy is knocked out. While the other Rangers work to free Tommy using one of Billy's devices, Tommy morphs and fights Goldar and Rito. While they're able to free Tommy, Catherine remains under Rita and Zed's control, and the villains start working on long-term plans. This story arc has some really great moments, especially in later episodes. Also, I love the self-referential humor, like this bit.
What is it this time, Finster? A monster that blows itself up?
The next phase of the arc comes in the three-part Changing of the Zords, where Finster reveals that he's discovered the location of a group of dormant Shogun Zords. He thinks that by combining the technology of the Ninja Zords along with these dormant Zords, Zed and Rita could have their own set of Zords to be used against the Rangers and Earth. No one points out that Zed should really just work on getting new batteries for Serpentera, since the thing's still more powerful than the Rangers' Zords, but whatever. Also, one wonders where exactly these Zords came from originally. Again, tying into the fact that the Mighty Morphin team was not the first Power Rangers ever to exist. Rita orders Cat to steal one of the Rangers' power coins so they can gain access to the Ninja Zord technology, since it seems that, like the original Zords, their powers are tied into the big robots. During an attack by the Tengas, she steals Kimberly's power coin. As established when Tommy first lost the Green Ranger powers, being a Power Ranger infuses you with that power, probably tying you in directly to the morphing grid, and if you are somehow removed from that power source, it can harm you, as it does for Kimberly when she's separated from it. Kat also starts falling for Tommy, her jealousy of Kim's relationship with him helping fuel her actions. During an attack by Goldar, Kat steals the Falcon Zord, and Ninjor is abducted by Zed to be used as the power source for the new Zords. So, needless to say, the Rangers are kind of screwed. While the Rangers are distracted by a monster, Kimberly is lured out of the command center to try to save Kat from some Tengas. However, in her weakened state, she collapses before she can fight them off, and is taken back to one of Zed's dimensions. Zed directly contacts the Rangers and demands they teleport him to the command center to issue his demands for Kimberly. As stated before, the command center has defenses to prevent anyone without a power coin from entering. With no other choice, they obey, and for the first time, a lead villain accesses the headquarters of the Rangers. It's pretty damn chilling seeing Zed's chair in the chamber. The lights dim, the area shakes, and everyone is visibly worried by him simply being there. Mind you, Zed's one-liners get pretty tiresome, but the fact that he's actually there is enough. Regardless of how the series has softened him a bit by making him more jokey, he's still evil, sadistic, and powerful. He issues his demands. The Rangers can serve him and be the pilots of his Shogun Zords, or he'll destroy Kimberly, who's currently having her life force drained by one of Zed's machines. They agree, and he departs triumphant. Kat, however, is starting to have doubts about her role in evil. Billy is able to locate the dimension that Kimberly is stuck in, but it's beyond their reach to teleport her out of. Instead, they use the portal devices that they had previously used to access the other dimensions with the green candle and etc. to get in. Tommy goes in after her, but is confronted by Lord Zed. If I haven't made it clear enough, this three-parter is really the highlight of the season. Besides for a couple of slip-ups, the writing is very strong, and a few very unique things happen, like this scene. The first and only time that Lord Zed ever directly fights any of the Rangers. And while Tommy keeps getting tired and gets thrown around like a rag doll, Zed remains strong, even mocking Tommy's constant hi-yahing. It's only thanks to him shattering Zed's staff that he wins, and even then it's more like a stalemate, since it's obvious that if they'd continued, Zed would have mopped the floor with him. As I said last time, Zed's the Emperor and shouldn't have to become involved in directly dealing with things that threaten his empire. But this fight, and the earlier scene of him in the command center, really shows why he was a genuine force to be reckoned with. Billy manages to rewire the Shogun Zords so they obey their commands instead of Zed's. They've won the day, but the Falcon Zord, Ninjor, and the pink power coin are still in Zed and Rita's possession at the end of the three-parter. To save Kimberly's life, Alpha and Zordon cut off her direct connection to her power coin, at least until they can recover it. In the meantime, she'll be able to borrow power from the other Rangers so she can at least morph. Also, apparently the Ninja Zords are inoperable while the Falcon Zord is out of their hands. Not sure why the hell that is, but let's just pretend that makes sense. In what is a...
I don't know, that seems kind of like a big design flaw. Like, if one Zord's out of commission, the rest can't go. I mean, I get it, they gotta form all four, or like all of them for the Megazord to be formed, but still, like, the fact that they're inoperable, like, yeesh, not good, just gotta say. That is a pretty big design there, or design flaw there, Ninjor. Just saying. Anyway.
A really nice touch, Kim and Tommy close out the episode with Kim thinking that it's the end of her career as the Pink Ranger, but Tommy reminds her of how she supported him when he had lost his powers and that he'll do the same for her. Here's the funny thing about the Shogun Zords versus the Ninja Zords. In Kaku Rangers, the Zords are actually the other way around. The Shogun Zords equivalents were the first robots they got, missing a pink Zord because the Kaku Rangers didn't have a pink team member. Obviously, it was switched around since they needed 6 Zords for 6 members, and I think it works better that way from a narrative standpoint, anyway. After 2 seasons with animal-based Zords, suddenly having the 3rd set of Zords be humanoid in shape would be kind of weird. Better to transition into it by having the Shogun Zords be humanoid as a 2nd Megazord. Sadly, the filler episode in between the multi-parters is Follow That Cab. All it does in terms of advancing the story is show more of Kat's backstory, as well as show that Kimberly is going to try to meet with an internationally famous gymnastics coach so she can join his team. Kat is showing more and more signs of resisting Rita's control, so Rita zaps her what good with another blast of evil. It also introduces the Shark Cycles, just in time for kids to have new toys. Even though they can teleport anywhere, thus Shark Cycles make absolutely no sense.
I think I like an attack vehicle, right?
What fascinates me about this episode is that it's an indication that even the criminals in the city are morons, since a car thief steals Kimberly's car in broad daylight with witnesses passing all around him. The story arc comes to a close in a different shade of pink. The coach I mentioned before offers to train Kimberly in preparation for the Pan-Global International Peace Conference Gymnastics whatever thingy. Rita, being the petty villain that she is, dedicates herself to ruining Kimberly's chances with the plan of making her far too exhausted from fighting as a ranger to do so. While Kim has never been one to shirk her responsibilities, since the earlier days she's had a bit less confidence to her and more revulsion at some of the more unseemly things they've had to fight against in the show, and probably would have been fine with retiring if the fight really was over. However, to show that her character has grown, she expresses her worry about neglecting her duties as a ranger since she has to dedicate a good chunk of her time to training. She recognizes that defending Earth and fighting evil is more important than her dreams. However, Zordon tells her that although he's happy that the team is loyal to their duties as Power Rangers, he never meant to deprive them of their normal lives. Just goes to show how awesome and wise Zordon can be when you're not breaking his stuff. Zed and Rita's attack actually is intelligent as they attack multiple locations at once, forcing the team to split their forces. The Rangers manage to force them all together, but not before needing to pull Kimberly away from her gymnastics. After 2 consecutive fierce battles, Kim returns to the juice bar after hours to practice. As Kat continues to recall her past and how she was taken by Rita, Kimberly starts to lose her balance and gets severely disoriented. The first part ends with Kimberly falling off the balance beam and hitting her head. Kimberly is taken to the hospital, the first of only a few times throughout the entire show's run where injuries were serious enough to justify that, with Kat watching over her. She pulls through, and Kat admits to Kimberly that she was working for Zed and Rita. The others are forgiving of her for what happened, considering Tommy's own history of being turned evil. Though one wonders if she admitted that they've been stroking her this whole time when she was their cat. Speaking of, did she lose that ability? Or are they implying that cats are naturally evil, thus you can only turn into one if you have evil in your heart? Rita contact...
I honestly don't know. I don't think they ever really went anywhere with that one. I mean, heck. Yes, but... Like I said, I'm too sure about the lore of the Power Rangers sometimes, because frankly, they got a lot of plot holes. And again, no, the franchise is safe for plot holes sometimes, aren't they? I think we just assume that they just forgive her. It's okay. Moving on.
Attacks the Rangers and tells them that if they don't surrender Cat, they'll banish Ninjor to some evil, dark place of evil. I don't know, Sea of Sorrows, they call it, but really knowing the show, it's Evil Place of Evil number 37. Showing some forward initiative, the Rangers show up for the exchange, but they place a force field around Cat to protect her. However, the villains, of course, try to hand them an empty jar, so this was all kind of pointless. The Tengas attack, and the force field is disabled, letting them take Cat. However, Cat manages to escape her cell and gets the pink power coin. Alpha detects the coin entering the hands of someone good, and they realign the teleportation system to get her back. Kimberly gets accepted into the pan-global whatever, but it means she has to move to Florida. At first, Kimberly is reluctant to go because of her duties as a ranger, but the others convince her that she should follow her dreams. Cat is granted the pink power coin, yet they don't need a big sword to transfer the powers. Interesting, isn't it? Although what's even more interesting is that at one point, Zordon suggests that Kim could later return to reclaim her place as a Power Ranger. While that never happens, the idea of taking back earlier powers is something that'll be touched upon in later seasons. And so another member of the original 5 leaves, although this time handled with at least giving the actress a send-off instead of shipping them off to a peace conference off-screen. Unlike all the previous Rangers, Cat isn't much of a martial artist and has to rely on the enhanced ninja powers to deal with threats against her. However, she does do fairly well, and while she may not be a karate expert, it was established in A Different Shade of Pink that she's a swimmer, and later that she's a ballet dancer, so she definitely has her own unique traits to bring to the table, and eventually she becomes an adept fighter, much like how the others had to develop their skills over time. Which does bring me to another point that I kind of skimmed over in the last video when Jason, Zach, and Trini left the show. The thing is, when the show started, the 5 were given fairly two-dimensional personalities, but they were at least personalities, and the actors did adjust them over time. However, when they left, Adam, Rocky, and Aisha didn't really have much in terms of personality. Don't get me wrong, as I said, they were perfectly good actors, but their characters weren't given much to work with. Heck, even I would have a hard time pinning down Tommy's personality other than how it related to his relationship to the others, particularly Kimberly or when he took Jason's spot as leader of the team. Kat sadly has the same problem over time. Her inexperience was touched upon only a little bit in her opening episodes as the Pink Ranger, the rest of the time simply taking her place for the plots of the day like the others. Everyone left on the team is pretty much a blank slate. We're told things about them, but nothing that significant. It's probably one of the reasons why interest in the show was beginning to wane. While there were things happening plot-wise that had longer consequences, it was getting harder to invest in characters that didn't really have arcs or development. Plus, it was harder to fall back on just having awesome fight scenes to carry stuff, since the audience had now seen over 100 episodes of that by this point. After a few more filler episodes, the storyline continued with Master Vile and the Metallic Armor. The episode starts off ominously. An earthquake occurs, and the sky darkens. When the Rangers teleport to the command center, they find the place offline and Alpha disabled. Even Zordon is missing. Up in the palace, Master Vile, Rita and Rito's father, and ruler of the M51 galaxy arrives. The command center comes back online, their power temporarily being cut off thanks to Master Vile's arrival. Master Vile is very powerful in his own right, and he immediately butts head with Zed, probably pissed he didn't get invited to the wedding. It's hard not to see his point, seeing as the dude owns his own galaxy, while Zed and Rita are having issues with one planet. Although that does make me wonder what the hell Zed was doing while Rita was in the trash can for 10,000 years. Fortunately, Zordon's been working on an all-new defense mechanism for the Rangers. Metallic armor that will further protect them. Wow, an entire new set of armor designed to better withstand attacks? That's fantastic! And what will this new armor look like? Will it be some sort of a blade of armor that folds out? Will it be boxy or smooth? Will it reflect their new animals? Well, the answer is... it's frickin' glitter! Yeah, thanks, Zordon. Thanks a ton for this new armor. You're still pissed about the team breaking the Zords, aren't you? I'm sorry, but the metallic armor is so half-assed, I can't even believe they bothered. When I think armor, I think the USS Voyager's Batmobile armor. I think the Chobham armor on a Gundam. Hell, I even think that armor Matt LeBlanc was sporting in Lost in Space. I do not think glitter. What makes it worse is that half the time you can't even tell if they've got it on or not because the Rangers' outfits are already pretty brightly colored. From what I've read, this was just done to try to get kids to buy leftover stock of the toys from the movie, even though said toys actually looked metallic since they used metallic paint on them instead of friggin' glitter. Oh, I'm sorry. It also makes them blurry as if they're moving at super speed, because if there's anything that a heavier material like metal is known for, it's making things faster. And of course, just like jetting, they barely ever used it. Thanks for taking us out of the story again to remind us that you are a toy commercial. Anyway, as for the story itself, Master Vile insults Zed for a bit. Zed counters that they've still got Ninjor and the Falcon Zord. However, Rito trips while carrying Ninjor's jar, causing the jar to fall and shatter. Ninjor manages to escape, but not before hearing Master Vile say that he's searching for something called the Zeo Crystal. You know, I might as well call it the MacGuffin Crystal. I mean, we know this show, right? Sword of Light, Sword of Power, various bits of technology and other mystical hoodoo show up all the time, and yet they never have any long-term consequences beyond their initial episode. So I'm sure the same will be the case for this thing.
Well, to be fair, like I said earlier, that's gonna be the main power source for the next series. You know what I mean, right? So,
Ninjor!
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to get everything back in running order. Alright. And I think I got everything done, and boom. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, just the thing takes a while. So, without any further ado, let's wrap up this season with part 2.
Ninjor arrives at the command center and updates the Rangers about Master Vile's hope to get the Zeo Crystal. Thousands of years ago, the people of M51 hid the Zeo Crystal in the Caves of Deception and put a defense shield around it so that only those with good and pure hearts could ever touch it. The caves lie directly beneath Rita and Zed's palace. Why? Well, as it turns out, Zed didn't actually build the palace. It was once a fortress for good, and while the palace has been corrupted by evil over the years, the defense shield for the Zeo Crystal remains intact. While Zordon is confident that Zed and Rita can't get to the crystal, because of Master Vile's own power and experience, they fear he could gain access. Made worse is the revelation that the Zeo Crystal gets more powerful over time, so basically it's a perpetual energy generator. Hot damn!
Sounds right.
This MacGuffin is awesome! Imagine if the Rangers actually had access to a power source like that. But nah, they'd never do that. Master Vile creates a new monster by...
Morphing?
Throwing up an egg. Ew. The blue Globber monster, however, is pretty dang strong, able to absorb power. He also feeds the Tengas some food that increases their own strength, but that just gives them an opportunity for the Rangers to show off their new glitter armor. The Globber manages to kidnap Ninjor again and absorbs his powers. In order to keep Master Vile from ever getting access to the Zeo Crystal, Tommy and Kat travel to Zed's palace so they can destroy it. The plan is for Tommy to go into the Caves of Deception and get the Zeo Crystal, while Kat distracts Rita and Zed by claiming that she wants to be evil again. Meanwhile, Billy has whipped up a toy Falcon Zord that will allow them to control the Ninja Megazord remotely without the real Falcon Zord. The Globber attacks the city, and the rest of the Rangers engage it with both the Shogun Zords and the Ninja Zords. The Globber is of course attacking abandoned buildings, since Angel Grove's economy is in such a poor state thanks to all of its constant karate tournaments and community cleanups, as opposed to any actual businesses beyond a juice bar. Plus, the general apathy of its citizenry last time makes me believe that the mayor of Angel Grove only wins with a few votes each time it's an election year. The Shogun Zord's power is absorbed by the Globber, and the Rangers are forced to retreat into the Ninja Megazord. Zed watches Vile succeeding against the Rangers, and is naturally pissed off that after all his plans have failed, he's getting one-upped by a guy who creates monsters by vomiting up eggs. Kat arrives and tells them she wants to be evil again. To prove that she's serious about being evil, she's forced into the Revilifier, a device that will drain all the good from someone and replaces it with pure evil.
Pure evil?
Pure
evil.
Naturally, a very useful device like this will never be seen or mentioned again, just like the Zeo Crystal, no doubt. Speaking of, Tommy goes down to the caves to get the crystal, since the Zeo Crystal can also be used to reverse the evil energy in Kat. Zed detects Tommy in the caves, but isn't worried because the force field, according to him, should also destroy Tommy because he was formerly evil himself. The Cave of Deceptions lives up to his name as Tommy fights off several hallucinations and makes his way towards the crystal, the force field even taunting him a little until he reaches it. The crystal does analyze him, and while it first harms him because of his evil beginnings, it does finally read the good parts of him and allows him to take it. Tommy frees Cat as well as the Falcon Zord, teleporting away. However, things aren't going well for the other Rangers. While the Falcon Zord does help things, the Globber survives the finishing move of the Ninja Mega Falcon Zord and incorporates parts of Ninjor into itself. The Shogun Megazord's powers start to restore, aiding in the fight. However, because the monster is tied into Ninjor, he feels the attacks inflicted on the monster. The Rangers fear defending themselves, and the Zords fall, their energy fully absorbed by the Globber and the Zords being sent away somewhere. The Globber proceeds to absorb even more of their power, and not even their magic glitter can help them. With the Zords down, Vile is able to take the Zeo Crystal while the Rangers retreat back to the command center. The rest of the evil forces celebrate, though Zed mopes about the fact that Vile succeeded where he failed. Vile, being the notoriously evil force that he is, commandeers the juice bar so that he can throw a party. This is just surreal.
Reno Revolto, party king and dancing fool! Let's mumble! Dance, humans, dance! Yes. Is this thing working?
Zordon gives our heroes a high energy surge from the morphing grid to help restore the Rangers' power, but it'll take some time for them to fully return. Half the team goes to check out the party, since, hey, evil forces are throwing a party and you might as well enjoy, while the others work on trying to locate where Vile sent the Zords. And indeed, they discover that the Zords were sent to the M51 galaxy, and the Rangers teleport there, because not only can they be sent to different planets, apparently it's just a hop and skip to another galaxy to try to free the Zords and destroy the Zeo Crystal. Once inside, the Rangers use their power coins to break Vile's link to the crystal and restore power to the Zords, returning them to Earth. The Globber mutates even further using the power he stole from the Zords, but the Rangers decide they have to risk harming Ninjor by finally defeating it. Ninjor manages to restore his own power and he escapes, joining the Rangers to fight both Globber and Master Vile. This battle is friggin' epic. Multiple Zords and monsters, plus a new configuration for the Zords, as the Falcon Zord joins with the Shogun Megazord to blast Master Vile. While Vile survives the assault, he retreats and decides to stick around to help defeat the Rangers in his awesome skull spaceship. The Rangers decide to break the crystal into pieces and scatter them throughout time so that Vile can never get them. And so we'll never see it again. While the metallic armor crab was stupid, this was a pretty solid three-parter, resolving or referencing several past storylines while starting the one that would end the season. There was one more filler episode between this and the next multi-parter, and really its only purpose is to once again remind us of Bulk and Skull's musical talent.
1, 2, 3,
oh god.
See? They rock so hard they blow up their own equipment. Vile's next plan is to use a mystical orb, the Orb of Doom, because ancient forces really suck at naming things, to reverse the Earth's rotation and make it spin back in time, using the same kind of bogus science from the first Superman movie when it comes to Earth's rotation, somehow meaning something when it comes to time. Zed, of course, points out that he's done this plan already and it failed, but that doesn't discourage Master Vile. The Rangers are too late to stop the Orb of Doom from being planted, and time reverses, reverting the Rangers to children as before. Unlike last time, however, they retain their memories of being Power Rangers, but they can't morph. In the wake of their apparent victory, Zed, Rita, Goldar, and Rito arrive on the planet and grow, attacking the city themselves. Now begins a plot that some people have called a mini-series because the theme song changes, the Shout Factory DVD even separates it into its own case, but really, it still counts as part of Season 3, the Alien Rangers saga. The kids are unable to contact Zordon and try to reach the command center on foot. However, before that, we get a series of antics involving the kids getting taken in by the police to protect them, and all I can say is that I'm still in shock that the city has any cops. Oh, and get this, the command center has been out of power because it's been returned to an earlier point in time along with the world. And it turns out the power was shut off because the console was unplugged at the time so they could use a vacuum cleaner. I'm dead serious.
All this time, our power outage has been due not to a sinister force, but to a simple household appliance.
Is that true?
Really?
I'm afraid so, Zordon.
That's it. I'm starting work on Alpha 6. You know,
Please
it's
do.
not every TV show that can alternate between giant evil forces annihilating a city and the antics of a subpar 50s sitcom. No wonder Zordon can be an asshole sometimes when this sort of crap is going on. Anyway, with power
no kidding.
restored, the kids are
Anyway, the Power
retrieved and they
Kids.
hatch a plan. While the Rangers lack their powers, they're not the only Power Rangers in the universe. They send out a distress call to the Rangers from the planet Aquitar, an ocean world where—
Hey, remember Edenoi? When Dex needed our help, we were there.
Wait, Edenoi? What the hell? That wasn't wiped from canon? If it hasn't, then where the hell is Count Dragon during all this crap? Ah, whatever.
I don't
Anyway,
know.
they contact
Moving
the
on.
ocean world Aquitar,
Yo,
where there
Aquitar,
are alien
what up?
rangers who also got their powers from Ninjor. The Equitians answer the call and come to help. The alien rangers have some of the most annoying voices ever,
Oh, yeah,
with
the
some
whole-
kind of weird filter effect to simulate them as they would speak underwater, yet they use it even when out of the water, which makes it difficult to understand them sometimes.
They will be at our disposal at a moment's notice.
I'm Delphine, leader of the Alien Rangers. This is Caucus, Zestro, Orico, and Tidius.
While it is irritating,
Yeah, you know,
considering
they
it's a
could just
temporary
turn it off,
arrangement,
right?
it's ultimately fine. Just I wish they had scaled it back a little. The Alien Rangers bring their own Zords along, also supplied by Ninjor, which raises the question of how exactly Ninjor was a legend according to Zordon, when apparently other Rangers knew him already. Ninjor is also absent for the rest of the series, sadly, explaining that they
Poor
won't
Ninjor.
discover the temple for several years.
Time
Except
warp.
this brings up the biggest problem of this storyline, the time travel aspect. I will grant the fact that the Rangers retain their memories, since the morphing grid or their powers in general could have preserved their knowledge, except then,
That's
why
true.
can't they access their powers? Zordon and Alpha
Yeah, the
could have been
hell?
preserved from the time travel
work
effects
for Kid
because of the
Rangers or
protections
something,
of the
right?
command center, except the command center itself apparently returned to an earlier point of development, hence the whole vacuum cleaner crap. Ninjor can't come and help because time has moved to before they ever found him, except the Equitians have access to the Shogun Zords despite them not being discovered for several more years. This will get even more
is getting
problematic
weird.
later when one of the teens is restored to their proper age, but not anyone else, raising the question of the Rangers' families, since obviously preteens are going to be under more supervision than the teens, yet they seem to spend a lot more of their time in the command center. What's worse, 5 of the Rangers should not even be here, since Kat is Australian and had just moved to Angel Grove, and Adam, Rocky, and Aisha moved from Stone Canyon last season. Tommy was a new kid in season 1, implying that he wasn't from the city either. The best way to try to write this stuff off is that it's
Maybe
not
they
actually
just got-
time travel, but a spell. It would certainly
Could
fit
be a
with the
spell.
aesthetic of the villains
Maybe- or
anyway,
do,
since
why not?
Master Vile himself seems to have more mystical knowledge than even Rita or Zed. The spell hasn't actually moved anything through time, but rather regressed the world to a younger state, which would help explain why the citizens of Angel Grove wouldn't have already heard of the Equitians when the actual Power Rangers came around. Hell, when the world is restored to normal, we see Bulk and Skull lose the memory of these events, so again, not so much time travel as much as just age manipulation through magics. The Alien
that's what I was
Ranger
thinking
saga
too.
itself was actually a pretty clever way of incorporating more Sentai footage into the show. As you can probably guess, the suit footage comes
Yeah,
from
see,
Kaku Ranger,
Aquitar.
which was ninja themed. However, despite them clearly being multicolored ninjas like this, I will admit that as a kid, I was completely fooled. That's primarily because, like I mentioned before about the Die Ranger suits being a radical departure from the expected suit design, this is a similar deal. Very little white in the suits, no mouths on the helmets, a lightning bolt insignia off-center, and most memorable for me at least, the visors. The visors on the helmets are much smaller than on the Mighty Morphin suits, without even an animal shape around it. Compared to the Mighty Morphin suits, they look, for lack of a better term, alien. The downside of the Equitians coming to Earth, however, is that they require hydration to sustain themselves, meaning they often have to travel to fresh water sources in public to rejuvenate themselves, where they attract a lot of attention. Master Vile assembles
Yeah, I guess
monsters from throughout
makes
the
sense.
universe to launch a final assault on Earth, or rather mostly suits used in previous monster fights. However, the alien rangers are more than a match for the monsters. In the wake of his latest defeat, Master Vile decides to return to his home galaxy. Say what you will about Zed and Rita, at least they're persistent. Master Vile gave up only after a few episodes. Lord Zed expresses his happiness about being in charge again with his expected level of restraint and subtlety.
Yes! I never thought I would be happy to see the goody goods triumph, but Golda, I am very, very happy.
Losing Master Vile may have been for the best for the villains, since they then score probably one of the biggest victories ever in the series. Billy and the Equations develop a device utilizing the Rangers' power coins to restore them to their proper ages. They test it on Billy and return him to normal, causing the aforementioned issue of, what the hell do Billy's parents think of this? That's never brought up. But an attack by Rito and Goldar stops them from restoring the others. Instead of doing the sensible thing and teleporting back to the command center, they run off and get cornered. The villains take the regenerator and the power coins, and for once, they waste no time. Zed and Rita annihilate the power coins, reducing them to dust. So, once again, the Rangers are screwed. Eventually, Zed sends Rito and Goldar to the tunnels beneath the command center to plant a bomb to finally blow it up. Remember, the command center has been standing for thousands of years, but has been in various states of construction, as we saw on Wild West Rangers, so there's previous infrastructure that it's been built on top of, which means it's also a weak point in the command center's defenses. Zordon's been busy as well, and has finally come up with a plan to restore the world to normal, as well as give the Rangers new powers. He plans to use the MacGuffin Crystal. Wait a second.
Zeo Crystal.
The Zeo Crystal? You mean it actually has some significance? Yes, in a brilliant move, the writers established the Zeo Crystal early so the viewers knew what they were talking about, and are going to use it to set up the next season. The 5 unrestored kids will be sent through time to locate their own Zeo subcrystal and return them to the command center. For some reason, the Zeo Crystals have locked onto each of the Rangers' heritage and ancestry, and thus they must overcome personal issues, blah blah blah, heart of the cards. The season comes to a close in the 2-part Hog Day afternoon. Rita and Zed summon their equivalent from Aquitar, named Hydro Hog, to deal with the alien Rangers. Meanwhile, Goldar and Rito, after several episodes of wandering around the tunnels under the command center, finally arm the bomb in the proper spot. Rita instructs them to steal the Zeo Crystal once it's assembled. Aisha, during her quest, decides to stay in the alternate time period to help the animals suffering from a plague with her veterinary skills, established earlier in the season, while letting a local girl named Tanya take her part of the Zeo Crystal back to the Rangers. It's a major disappointment to see her character kinda shoved aside like this without even letting the actual actress for Aisha have a proper send-off. Kimberly got a storyline, while Aisha's last episode got her at a carnival. Well, actually, I suppose that could have been worse then. Apparently, Karen Ashley was told that she'd get a proper goodbye scene with everyone else, but that never ended up happening. Hydro Hog, since he's the equivalent of Zed and Rita, is actually pretty damn powerful, to the point where he actually stops the Shogun Zord's finishing move. However, that reaches an anti-climax when they use the Shogun Mega Falcon Zord to defeat him. I don't know if it completely destroys him or just sends him home, but hey, it resolves the episode. Of course, leaving Aisha where she is screws with the time stream a bit, but whatever.
Aisha, your decision to remain has altered the course of your family's history, and you will find that they have joined you when the world is returned to the future.
That does not even begin to make sense in the slightest, not even with my speculation about how it works. The Zeo Crystal is fully reassembled, and the time stream is returned to normal, bringing everyone back to their proper ages, including Tanya. They bid farewell to the Equation Rangers and celebrate being back to normal, Alpha and Zordon talking with Tanya to get her acclimated to the new time period. However, their victory is short-lived. Goldar and Rito immediately come up from under the command center, swipe the Zeo Crystal, and teleport away. The bomb goes off, causing the command center to start exploding. Billy tries to help protect things, but he gets a face full of energy, and Alpha teleports the Rangers out of the command center to save them. And so the season, along with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, ends with the command center blowing up. Season 3 is where the magic versus technology theme that I've theorized about starts to shift, partially due to the nature of their new powers. Instead of Billy creating new devices all the time to save the day against the spells of the villains, more more and more the show builds a mythology of ancient powers to call upon. The ninja powers are a more spiritual force than what they had before, and the quest for the Zeo Crystal by the various Rangers tends to be more about a test of character than anything else. Billy still uses many devices to combat Rita and Zed, but a lot of them are focused near the end of the season when he's trying to devise various ways to keep the alien Rangers hydrated, or earlier when he used devices to rescue Kimberly or the force field to protect Kat. And the thing to note, though, is that the tech more often than not fails. I read it as a sign that it's time for them to move beyond the dynamic they had before. Season 3 is arguably the best of the three in terms of writing. There were far fewer sillier episodes than the first two seasons, with both Kimberly's departure and the Alien Ranger saga being serialized. The storylines, while occasionally delving into the realms of the goofy, were pretty strong and were great at keeping the viewer's attention. Some have complained that the season contained far too many multi-parters and that the changing status quo was a turn-off, but personally I liked it. There was enough filler for a status quo to actually exist at times, but not so many that the season would get dull. People have said that when Rita and Zed got married, it ruined Lord Zed, basically turning him into a second banana loser that often took the backseat to other villains. However, I have to vehemently disagree. The truth is, well, Lord Zed was starting to suck at his job. Don't get me wrong, he was still as menacing as before, but he was falling into the same rut that Rita had fallen into. He would make a monster, send it out, and it'd be defeated in 10 minutes. The truth was that as time went on, he was simply not succeeding as a villain. But then Rita and Zed got married. Now, while Zed's personality did change a bit, it wasn't really all that different. He was still angry at failure, and their strategies against the Rangers became more elaborate, though with the occasional stupid one that always crops up when you're trying to come up with plans on a weekly basis to eliminate your enemies. However, despite him cracking a few more jokes and acting in a slightly more silly manner in his gesticulations, he was still scary and powerful. And really, what was on Zed's list of successes while he worked solo? He destroyed the Green Ranger powers. Okay, fair enough. But what happened when he married Rita? They destroyed the original Zords and powers, destroyed the new powers, although whether that destroyed the Ninja Zords is unclear, and the fate of the Shogun
we never
Zords
did see what happened to him.
Entered the command center, and almost killed Kimberly, for that matter, blew up the command center, took Ninjor prisoner, and later helped destroy the Machine Empire. I hate to say it, people, but Zed was better off with Rita than without her. In one episode, Goldar discovers the truth about how Rita got Zed to marry her, and gets Finster to create an antidote. However, when he tries to use it, it does nothing. It could be that Finster didn't actually give an antidote, but the implication of the episode is that Zed actually does love Rita. Which kind of makes sense, considering, as we saw last season, his ideal mate is Rita. Bulk and Skull start demonstrating more of a sense of responsibility and morality in the season. Yes, they do bumble around quite a bit and still verbally make fun of the teens, but here they actually start caring about what they're doing. For example, in one episode, they mock an inscription on a lamp owned by Adam, but when they almost damage this family heirloom, they show genuine concern about their actions. While some of the time it's simply fear of retribution from Lieutenant Stone, other times it looks like they actually care about helping people now that they're in a position of authority. For example, there's this really inspired bit where they spot what looks like a group of kids drowning.
We gotta save them! Hold on, kids! We'll save you!
Fall in.
When Kimberly's car is stolen, they happily try to help recover it. Their relationship to the teens is radically different. The teens support them when they decide to join the junior police force and actually admit at several points that they're friends. Sure, they're not hanging out together, but there's no longer antagonism between the groups. Bulk and Skull can see them as dorks while not being jerks to them any longer. Plus, while they remain ineffective in most cases, we do see a couple of occasions where the two actually kind of triumph, like catching the car thief from Follow That Cab. There are a lot of good Bulk and Skull bits this season, including their training to become junior police officers, along with a catchy tune called Shape It Up.
If you want to be a cop, then you got to get in shape. Gotta jump a 6-foot wall, gotta swim a giant lake. Shake it up, pumpkin skull. Shake it up, shake it up, shake it up, pumpkin skull.
Unfortunately, the song has never been released on its own, so there isn't any clean copy of it anywhere. I so want a copy of a full version. During the Alien Ranger saga, the kid versions of the two reverted back to how they were in Season 1, idiots and bullies, which really showed off how much they had changed over the course of these few seasons.
Parents will thank us. Kids will love us. Lieutenant Stone will promote us.
You're amazing. I'm in awe. No, awe.
Adding Lieutenant Stone, the police officer who trains them, created some new dynamics to their situations. Most of the time, they fail miserably in his eyes, but you've got to give them credit for trying and wanting to do well. Stone himself doesn't really get much in terms of development, but that's because he serves as a foil to the two. It's especially interesting to see Bulk and Skull respecting an authority figure to such a degree. While they may have joined the Force to attract women, they don't really pursue that goal after they complete their training. They care more about earning Lieutenant Stone's respect. Lieutenant Stone would remain a part of the secondary cast through Turbo, for better or worse, and helps the two along with their character development. But that's something we can get into next time. Overall, Season 3 is great and brought a fantastic conclusion to the Mighty Morphin era, with a proper season finale and a cliffhanger to boot. Next time, the most radical change to the franchise yet, as we go Zeo.
Okay, yeah, sorry about that. Jeez. Hard to get these things sometimes. But there you go. History of Power Rangers, Season 3. Let me know what you guys think of this. Honestly, it was really fun to watch, so... Plus, it really does set things up for, like... They're down, but we know we saw the Zeo Crystal, I think. Actually, certainly Goldar and, like... You know... Vita's brother stole it, so I'm kind of curious to see what happens next. So, they really kept it going. So, without any further ado, thanks for watching, everybody. Till next time, see ya.